What's up, YouTube? My name is Justin Jacob. I've been cutting hair for 7 years. I'm 23 years old and I own my own salon. So you want to be a barber, right? Do you have what it takes? Do you have dedication, hard work, and belief in things that you don't see? If you don't, then just quit cutting hair right now before you even start. Let's get right into it. You're gonna need a set of clippers. There's budget-friendly clippers and there's barber-ready clippers, okay? And if you're on a budget, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna drop a list below with clippers for barbers that are on a budget, which is no big deal. Everybody starts from a budget. You know, that's how we get going, okay? So there's no shame in a budget, okay? But I'm gonna drop that link below. And if you're ready to spend a few $100s, I'm gonna drop that link below as well. Now, everybody thinks they're just gonna buy some clippers and jump in a shop and start cutting. That is not at all how it works. If you're thinking that, get that out of your head right now. That is not how it works, okay? Now, everyone wants to jump in a shop right away, and that is incorrect. You're gonna have to develop some skill before you go to a shop. You know, nobody's gonna want a barber that has never touched a clipper before. That doesn't make sense, you know? So what you're gonna have to do is kind of create a setup in your house. So you're gonna need a chair, doesn't matter the chair, anything where a client can sit. You're gonna need a cape. If you're budget friendly again, you can use a garbage bag, okay? And you're gonna need a mirror. It can be a handheld mirror or a stand-up mirror. I prefer a stand-up mirror. You can get one for like 15 bucks at Walmart. Again, I'm gonna drop it in the link below. If you're gonna use a handheld mirror, you're gonna have to make sure the client is okay with holding it because that mirror is your third eye, so you will need a mirror. And I will talk more about what the mirror will do for you in the next video, okay? Now what you're gonna wanna do is start watching YouTube. You're gonna pick 5 barbers. You're gonna find which one is the most interesting for you because everybody has a different type of content. Once you find that barber and the style you like, stick with that barber, follow his content. Then what you're gonna do is take your client, you're gonna try those steps on him, and then you're gonna take pictures of that haircut. Then after that haircut, you're gonna keep going back to YouTube and seeing what you could have did different, okay? So it's gonna be YouTube cut, YouTube cut, YouTube cut. Remember guys, YouTube is very important. You have to watch videos and learn the technique, learn the flicks, keep searching for ways to cut hair. Now, the way you're gonna get clients is gonna be really tough. This is a hard one people can't get. You're gonna have to become an expert negotiator. So if you're in school, you're gonna have to go up to people and tell them, you know, let me just give you a free haircut. You're gonna say, sorry, it's really hard, you know, there's not a certain way to go approach this. You just have to be good with your words. So like I said, you know, you gotta tell them, let me give you a free cut. Maybe they have a haircut appointment tomorrow. Say, you know, I know you're gonna get a haircut tomorrow, so let me cut your hair today so your barber can just fix it tomorrow. Well, my clients that wanna become barbers, I tell them, listen man, go tell your friend, you'll cut his hair, then I'll fix it after. Just give him like a low taper and I'll give him a mid taper after. Give him a mid taper and I'll give him a mid fade. You know, there's always ways you can work around it. And remember, when you watch YouTube, you can give them a decent haircut and you just don't go too high so their barber can fix it. Now, if you're not in school and you just, you know, you don't have any clients really, you gotta think of some friends, some cousins, some family. And if you don't have that, there's barber school, okay? And barber school is a place where you sit down and you just wait for customers to walk in. They get $5 haircuts, the school gets the $5. You get hours and experience in return. And it doesn't matter about the money. You can't think about money in the first year of cutting hair because you will make none. Now, let's say you learned for 3 months, you get good, you're ready to start in a shop, okay? You're wrong, you're not licensed. So if you cut in a shop unlicensed, if you cut, infect, or do anything wrong to somebody, they can sue you, okay? And you don't want that. So there was a shop in my town where the lady set a can of hairspray next to the straightener, and the can of hairspray blew up because of the heat from the straightener, and it hit the client in the eye. And then they actually sued the shop owner because they had unlicensed barbers in their shop, and they even sued the unlicensed barber. And I don't know what happened lawfully, but I know it wasn't good, okay? And the shop is not a thing anymore, and the stylist probably won't have a license till they're about 21 years old, maybe older, depending on how old they were. It's just like having a driver's license. You drive before 16, you get suspended till you're probably 21. Now there's 2 ways you can go about getting your license. You can go to barber school or you can do an apprenticeship, okay? Now, the difference between a barber school and an apprenticeship is when you go to a salon for the apprenticeship or a barber shop, you're building your clientele while you're learning, and you can get tips. You can't charge as an apprentice, but you can get tips, okay? So you can at least be in the shop, learn the atmosphere, learn from the barbers that you want to be around, see if you like that shop, okay? Now, when you go to school, you're doing free haircuts, you're working on random people. This is probably the best way to learn, because that's when people are gonna come in the door for you because they know it's a student haircut. There's two schools. There's a cosmetology school and a barber school. Personally, I did both, but first I would recommend the barber school because you can't use the blade when you go to cosmetology school. That's more for hair color, perms, makeup, nails, stuff like that. Barber is specifically razor cutting, clipper cutting, lineups, men haircuts. Mostly men are short, I shouldn't say men, but short haircuts, okay? So you're gonna wanna find a barber school, and there's not many of them, but you're gonna have to work with what you can find. If you're worried about making money and going to barber school at the same time, there's two things, okay? There's a few things. There's financial aid that will help you pay for the barber school depending on your income. And then there's part-time schedules. So you don't have to go to school all day. They have a morning class and a night class or an afternoon class. Personally, what I did was I already started cutting hair before I went to barber school. Like I said, I was cutting in my garage. And so I was going to barber school from 8 a.m. and I did it till 7 p.m. and I would come home from 8 p.m. till about 1, 2 a.m. and I would just cut hair at home, So I maxed out my hours for a year straight. I did all 3 schedules. So I finished a 1.5 year course in under a year, probably about 8 or 9 months. The difference between a barber school and an apprentice is what I'm gonna tell you now. So one of them is gonna be in the school, obviously, and one of them is gonna be at a salon. The one at the school, they're both gonna be 1,800 hours, but at the school, they're gonna have clients walking in knowing there's a student available. In a barber shop, you're gonna be thrown in the mix, and it depends on the shop, obviously, but this is how most shops operate around me. You walk in and you sit down with an apprentice and you don't even know that it's an apprentice in the chair, okay? So they might throw you in the mix and expect you to cut randoms, you never know. Could be good for you, it could be bad, you don't know how it's gonna go. But as I said, they're both 1,800 hours. About 250 of those hours are gonna be in a textbook, in a classroom, So you're gonna have to study a whole textbook and you're gonna be prepared to take the state board, which is in 2 segments. There's one that's about 120 to 150 questions. It's gonna quiz you on everything you learn in the book, sanitation, woman's hair cutting, men's haircut, stuff about color, just some stuff you should have studied in the book that the school or the shop should prepare you for. For the hands-on portion, it's gonna be hair cutting, shaving, facials, sanitation, a hair wash, and some other stuff too. So when you go to school, I know they prepare the state board kit for you, and here we do prepare the state board kit. But at another shop, maybe you have to prepare your own state board kit. I'm not sure, it just depends on the shop you're gonna work at. And if you have any questions, you can always call Michigan Laura. Now, upon completion of your barber's license, if you did everything I said in this video, you should have most experience you need. It should be a year should have went by. You should have got your first clients, practiced on them, watched YouTube, practice again, watch YouTube again. Then, you should have got you some clippers and upgrade as time goes, went to school, got some reps, found a shop, you did all that good stuff. Now you're in a shop, okay? Now, what's next is building a clientele, and that's a whole different topic, so we're gonna get that in the next video, guys. Good luck to everybody in the start of your barber career. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope it gave you the information you need, and I'm gonna have more videos posted in the future on how to build a clientele, biggest mistakes barbers make, how to build a salon, and just a bunch of other stuff related to barbering and business will be on this channel, guys. So if you want to learn more, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.